Hello everybody, welcome to my website. I want to apologize in advance because I am sick and so you might hear a few coughs and sneezes here and there, but other than that, the audio should be perfectly fine. So let's dive into this website that I have created. My website is about the controversy of conformity through social media trends, and so I wanted to give you a little breakdown of how I created this website. I want to start off by talking about the template that I used. I used this specific template because it is a bit more spacious and it allowed me to have more control of where I wanted things to be and how I wanted to place them. As for the colors, I chose these colors because they are a bit more dark and muted, which is the kind of tone I wanted to give to this website, because conformity also has to do with being anonymous in a way, since when you conform, you're not necessarily conforming to something that might be true to yourself, and so in that way you might be masking yourself, hence the picture on the home page. I also like these little sections up here where you can just click on them and it'll take you to that specific section, just in case readers have already been through one section, they can just head to one of the other sections that might be new if the website is being updated. I also organized this website through bullet points as opposed to paragraphs. I did use some paragraphs, like right here in the context section and over here in the voices of conflict section. The reason I used bullet points was because it allowed for information to be easily processed, and it just allows for it's a bit more visually pleasing to readers instead of having something compact like millions of paragraphs stacked over and over and then having to scroll so often. I wanted it to be a more efficient process, so once you get to one specific section and you're done there, you can head over to the other section without scrolling and scrolling. Something I learned while creating this website was what makes taking in information easy, like the paragraphs, every now and then, just to explain what context I'm talking about before giving the facts. And I also learned how to make this website a bit more visually pleasing, which is something I found was a bit difficult to do because I'm more of a writer person myself, and so I used pictures where I thought they would be more needed, like the homepage, and as background images, which I used right here in the middle to make things a bit more focused, and it makes the middle section stand out since it is a bit different than these other two sections right here, social media and identity and the birth of social media. And yes, I use them here again in the background. I do wish that I had used more interactive photos like I saw on some of the other websites. I apologize, I have a dog barking. But yes, that is what I wanted to do, to use pictures in the background. I also learned to be a bit more concise. I think I definitely could have spaced the bullet points out a bit more to make it a bit more visually pleasing for the audience. But I think this right here was a bit fine. I just needed to work on the colors and how that would be more visually pleasing to users, to viewers. I think something I could definitely improve on was these subcolors like I just mentioned. I think the most successful aspect of my website would be that I tried to be concise, but I also tried to cater this website to a broader audience. Something that I learned in my human communications class was to make sure to not have any barriers in communication, which means that you change your vocabulary so that everyone who you're talking to can understand. You wouldn't use a high vocabulary to a child because they may not understand. So that's kind of what I try to do with my website, to not use vocabulary such as a plethora of people. And so I think that's definitely a successful aspect. I also think that as I continue to improve upon this website, I will add more images like I mentioned earlier, like graphs and more complementary photos, but also, like I mentioned earlier, graphs, because I think that would add logos in a way where people don't have to read about the facts, but they can also look at them. I think the best way to use my website creation skills would be in job meetings. I think would be perfect, because if everybody just has access to that website about, for example, like job meetings, you can just continue to add more and more sections. For example, meeting 1, meeting 2, and then people can go back to what was talked about in those meetings without having to look at a paper, and they can just click on that one link so that everyone has access to it and they don't have to continue asking people what was talked about in those meetings. I also think it would just be great because you're condensing everything that was talked about at that meeting into simpler terms, and so that would just make it easier upon everyone else. I've used my website creation skills in my government class where I created a website, and that one turned out much better than this one. But that was pretty much it on how I use my creation skills in that class. I definitely enjoyed creating this website. I learned a lot, and I hope to continue building upon this website or other websites that I plan to make. And so I just want to say thank you to Professor Nabokshunova, because now I know how to make my website more visually pleasing, as well as making things easier on the audience. And so thank you, and thank you so much for those who decided to click on my video. Have a great day, everyone.